Benson, can you share with me sort of what you think the future of fuel cells would be and how far away we are from being able to realize fuel cells?
Surprisingly, I think if we get very creative and move toward distributed generation, they could be a lot closer than if we try to take on the electric utilities and the central power plants. I think that if we shift toward running on biofuels, which no one's doing, and therefore there's no competitive threats or oppositions, and you don't threaten anybody, I think that there's some real opportunities to be very experimental, exploratory, cutting edge, and provide some leadership.
You know, often folks use the lack of the ability to have a hydrogen infrastructure right now as an excuse for not moving forward with fuel cells. And we've even seen the government, the United States government, pull back from some of those investments recently. How is that impacting your business, and sort of what is your opinion on that?
Well, it doesn't affect us because we run on ordinary fuel. Since we can also run on hydrogen, when and if the hydrogen infrastructure comes along, we don't have to change a thing. We can just run on that fuel as well. In so many ways, we can be the sort of the pioneers for a lot of the hydrogen fuel cells who have to wait for the infrastructure. We are you'll remember, a solid oxide fuel cell.
And that's sort of the first generation of fuel cells that are out right now?
Well, I think all fuel cells that are out are first generation. It is a disruptive technology, so the way that you bring it out is to get it out, let the public kick the tires and tell you what they like and don't like, and then you go back, make it better, and then come out with a version 2 and a version 3. It's an iterative process.
Now, fuel cells have been touted for the automotive sector, transportation. I understand the way you're viewing that is more in sort of residential and other sorts of deployment activities besides transportation. Describe your vision for solid oxide fuel cell deployment.
Well, in our case, that's correct. We're looking at continuous 24/7 power, which is much more practical when we're in a building, a residence that has 24/7 requirements. But remember that one of those is to recharge batteries on electric vehicles or plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. When they come in the garage, can you imagine there's an ice storm at night, you're asleep, 2 o'clock, the grid goes out, your car's not getting charged anymore, you get up in the morning, you've got to rush to a meeting, and you look at the gauge, and you've got 7 miles on your car.
That would really stink.
It would stink. And who would you get mad at? You'd say, why did I ever buy this car?
Yeah.
So the customer is not the utility, but the car company. And we're looking at that possibility.
Interesting business model.
Yes.
Well, now, I've heard a little bit about the safety of solid oxide fuel cells. I know you've been working on the safety issues. Can you describe where you are with that?
Well, in terms of safety, it's no less safe than any type of a combustion engine which uses fuel. In our case, we have a situation now where we're going into a public building, and I don't want to go in with a tank of propane or a gallon of diesel. So we had the building manager talk to the fire marshal and say the fuel is going to be soybean oil, the same thing that the cafeteria next door is already bringing in every day.
That's great. So it'll smell like fried soybeans.
That's right.
Edamame
That's
all
right.
over the place.
So we can run on vegetable oils as well as all the fossil fuels. So again, the versatility of the solid oxide.
Thank you. I'm talking to Benson Lee with TMI Technologies out of Cleveland, Ohio.